Hi guys, welcome to Lenette Looks. Today I'm going to be reviewing One Italian Summer by Rebecca Serle. Now, One Italian Summer follows a woman named Katie. She is 30 years old. Katie has just lost her mom to cancer. Now that her mom is gone, she's lost. It's like she doesn't know who she is anymore without her mom. Her mom was her best friend, and as stated in the book, her mom, she describes her as the love of her life. Now, I've never known anyone to describe their relationship with their mom as the love of their lives. You often hear that with husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, fiance, in that romantic setting with someone. But to say it for your mom, I've never heard it. I don't know if any of you have heard someone describe the relationship they have with their mom as she was the love of my life. And that's how close she and her mother's relationship was. So this loss is like devastating to her. She doesn't know how she's gonna live without the calls that she would have with her mom, the conversations, the decision making. It was almost like Katie had a very heavy codependency to her mom, because she says all her life decisions she would always consult her mom. She is married to Eric, and Eric is a very loving husband. He has been so supportive through this whole thing. When her mom was going through her cancer, being very ill, he was very supportive of his wife. And then you have Katie's dad, who's also grieving. And right now Katie is wanting to not be with her husband, not be home. I kind of couldn't relate to that. It's almost like she's having like a breakdown. She wants to be alone. She is thinking about herself, how she's going to be without her mom in her life. Who is she? Who is Katie without her mom? That's how close and that's how dependent she was on her mother. And so you have Katie here, and her mom, they were going to go to an Italian vacation, a trip to Positano, and she suddenly decides, that's it, I need to fulfill me and my mom's desire to have this girls trip to go to Italy, and I need to do it now. She tells her husband, I don't even know if I want to be with you. And he's wondering like what's going on, like he's hurt, and she just says, I need to go and I need to do this alone. And so she leaves her grieving dad and her husband to fulfill the girls trip that her and her mom were to take if she was alive. That's the girls trip she wants to take by herself, to be alone. And so she goes to Positano, Italy. She just went off like without really thinking about the grief of her dad, even without thinking about her husband's feelings. And I understand people express grief in different ways. I'm not knocking it, but it was only about her grief. She almost has tunnel vision. Like her mom left. She doesn't know what to do with her life. She doesn't know who she is, and she is gone. She wants to just break away from everything, including her husband, who is described, as a loving, doting husband. So she goes to Positano, and all of a sudden, you're in like this time warp. And she's back in 1992, and she swears that she sees her mom. As the reader, you're kind of wondering, what is this about right now? Like I was a little bit lost. Like I thought she was having an emotional breakdown, a nervous breakdown or something like that, where she's imagining that she is seeing her mom. Looking further into it after I read the book, it is also like a fantasy, magical realism type of story where there's a twist of magic in it. However, if you don't know that, you're reading this and you're like, it doesn't read that way. It reads like she's lost it. She's like, now she's imagining, she wants her mom back so bad that she's imagining that her mom is there with her on this vacation in Italy, and now she's gonna have the girls trip that she felt she couldn't have before she left, and it's gonna be fulfilled now. So she sees this woman, looks like her mom, who her mom was at 30, how she looks and everything. So she winds up going up to her. Now, I understand it's magical realism, so I got that twist aspect of it. Like, now she's going to have this girls trip with her mom, like in this fantasy sort of plot. And the woman is looking at her like she has lost her damn mind. Like, why are you saying these things? Because she starts talking to her as if that's her mom, as if the woman is her mom. And so the woman doesn't know that she thinks that that's her mom. So the whole magical realism, it's not really come into full bloom, because the woman is not in on it. Like, that's not her mom. She hasn't been transported into another time where her mom is actually there and she's able to recognize Katie, and now they're able to spend this beautiful time together, and have, I guess, a last trip with her mom. So I didn't like that aspect, because as the reader, you're thinking, has she lost her mind? Is this did she get transported into some other time? Is there a time warp? Like, what is going on? And I was waiting for the author to describe, like, okay, this was a dream sequence, or she's just imagining this, and that never happened. I got lost as a reader, like, why? It was becoming very annoying that she knew in her mind that's her mom, but the woman, she never said it directly to her. As I'm reading it, like, I kept getting like, okay, the woman doesn't, that's not her mom, but she keeps saying that that is her mom. So in a way, there was like a conflict between, I feel like, what the author was trying to portray and what was actually written, because the woman did not think that she was her mom at all. In her mind, she was having the relationship with her mom, but the woman didn't know any of this. It was like she was looking at Katie like, sometimes like, okay, I don't understand. What's going on with you? Are you okay? You know? And Katie would never say, oh, I think you're my mom, you know, all this time that she's been hanging out with this woman, because she winds up hanging out with her a lot, and she's a very free spirit. And then Katie's like, wow, this is how my mom was back then. And she actually winds up not liking her very much, because she wants her to be the woman who she was when she was married to her dad, when she became a mom. But this is 30-year-old Carol, and she was a different person, not as evolved as after the fact, when the way Katie knew her as her mother, as her dad's wife. So in any case, so this just keeps going on and on, where Katie is in this realm, this plot twist where she thinks this woman is her mom. And another plot twist for me was that she wanted to have this trip alone, and to grieve, to find herself, to know who she is without her mom, to fulfill that vacation that she would have had if her mom were alive. And she goes ahead and she meets this guy. She starts to have this flirtation with this guy. She's spending all this time with this guy. So it's kind of like contradictory why she went on this trip, because she didn't spend time alone. Every day she wanted to hang out with Adam. She was hanging out with Adam every day. I was like, wow, okay, she doesn't want to be with her husband. She's going through all this, and now she meets a guy named Adam. She wants to like hang out with Adam. And they wind up having this relationship, while she's married. While she's in Positano, grieving and everything, she winds up having an affair. So, and her husband, obviously, he's does not know anything that's going on, and he does call her and everything, but she's saying the trip is going good, and she doesn't really have much to say to her husband when he calls. Now Katie, she hoped to find solitude there, Again, she doesn't spend time by herself. She winds up doing the opposite of what she had told her husband and her dad. She's spending time with her mom, and she's spending time with Adam. One thing that I didn't really like throughout the story, I didn't feel any compassion towards Katie, because it felt, as I'm reading and the description and how she talks and everything, she seems like a very like I couldn't relate to her, and I could not empathize with her. It felt like she was a very cold, and I understand she's grieving, but very cold, unlikable character. And it wasn't just because she's grieving, but it was the way her character was, the way she spoke, the way she went about her life after the fact. I don't know, she was not, to me, a likable character, and that made me feel distance from her. I didn't feel any like real, the grieving process wasn't there, because she supposedly met her mom in that place. So there was hardly any understanding as a reader to feel that grief from her. I didn't really feel it. But in the beginning, as she's describing her mom, I did feel like, wow, her mom was like everything to her, and there was a lot of codependency with her mom. And that's a huge loss, because she doesn't know who she is without her. She doesn't know who is Katie without her mom. How does she make decisions? Because her mom did a lot of the decision making for her. If you have someone like that, that's awesome. But at the same time, it doesn't allow for your kid to have independence either. I'm not blaming the mom for anything, but there has to be some sort of responsibility also that you kind of put on your child. Like, well, you got to make decisions on your own. So what do you think is the best decision? Well, how do you feel? You kind of like help them to make the best decision, but not always giving them the answers, because it's true. Then one day you're not going to be around, and your kid is going to be lost, because they're not going to know what to do. They're not used to making big decisions. They're not used to being the final say in decision making. And there you have Katie now, where she is a lost soul. I think that it's awesome. Her and her mom had such a beautiful, close-knit relationship, but at the same time, she needed to have confidence in herself that she can also make right decisions for herself. And that wasn't expressed in this story. That does happen, and so you have Katie, and she's trying to find herself now. Now in this trip, I don't believe she has found herself or had solitude, so that was lost in the intention of the trip. So instead, she goes off and she has that affair. It didn't leave me with such a great, wonderful feeling towards Katie. I just couldn't relate to her at all, and she seemed very distant, and she just seemed very rude and selfish. The way she left her husband like that after he had been so supportive throughout her mom's cancer treatment, supportive to her and everything, and the way she just was like, I don't even think I want to be with you anymore. Like, just cut and dry after that. It just didn't, it just wasn't, she just, to me, is not a likable character. Not because she's grieving or anything, it's just the way she was. You have to read the story to understand what I'm saying, but it's just the way she was very, there just didn't seem anything likable. Even when she met her mom in that magical twist, she didn't like her. She wanted to be the center of attention. And this is her mom at 30 years old. And her mom was a free spirit. She was doing whatever she wanted. She was a different person, as I said before. And to Katie, because she wasn't the center, the focal point, she was shocked at like how her mom was, and she didn't like it, and she became very angry and bitter towards her, towards who her mom was before she was born. With that said, this was not my favorite story. If you could tell, it wasn't. But I say one thing that this the writer, the author, I feel got really right for me as the reader is that she described Positano, Italy so beautifully. The details, like if you wanna get lost in Italy, in that area in Italy, read this book because the descriptions are just so beautifully written, so detailed. It's as if I was also transported to Italy. So in that sense, she did, for me, she got that 100% correct. I just loved the way she described the environment there. It was just so beautiful. So I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads. There are 2 other books that I might read by this author, and one is called In 5 Years and the other one is Expiration Dates. So I'm gonna look into that, and I might go ahead and give this another go with this author. Some additional information about this author as to why she was compelled to write this story is that her and her mom have such a close-knit relationship, and she also describes her relationship with her mom as being the love of each other's lives. She says her mom is the love of her life. So again, that's the way she describes their relationship. And she also did say that her and her mom has such a close relationship, just like Katie in the story, where she goes to her mom for just about, a lot of things and asks for help. And that kind of made her depend on her mom a lot for answers. And so she realized that she needed to have that in her toolbox as well. So she also said that, that's something that she needed to improve on within herself to be confident to get the answers to her questions and know that it would be okay, for herself, and not be so codependent with her mom. But she also said that she would have loved to hang out with her mom when she was 30 years old, so both of them could be together and just have an awesome vacation together when her mom was younger, around her age. So that's another story plot that inspired her to write for this book, One Italian Summer. I'm glad I read this book. Every book, even if it's something that I didn't fully love and enjoy and give 5 or 4 stars or even 3 stars, I'm still glad that I read it. It's something different, and I don't not recommend anyone seeing this review to not read it. I always recommend that you go ahead and read it for yourself, and maybe you would like it more than I did. And if you did, give me a comment and let me know what you liked about the book. Let me know what you didn't like, and or just leave a comment and say hi and let me know you came, you stopped, and you saw this episode of Lenette Looks. And don't forget to like this video if you like this episode, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss an episode. And on that note, I'll see you on the next one.